Hi, this is Vince Riley, the internet's less and less least busiest music nerd. Now, I know this sounds a tad corny or even adolescent, but today I'm going to talk about what I feel is the best album I've ever heard. But it wasn't originally designed as an album, but as the soundtrack for a film made in 2003 by the outstanding independent animator and filmmaker Simon Pummel. For those of you living under a rock, Jonny Greenwood is Radiohead's keyboard player and lead guitarist, and for Radiohead fans who, like myself, feel that Kid A remains their finest album to date, but have somehow never heard Body Song, you're in for a treat, as it was written and recorded about the same time as Kid A, and could be seen as much of a companion piece as Amnesia, a CD compiled from the same set of recordings as Kid A. The film's a documentary beautifully and painstakingly constructed and selected from hundreds of hours of archive film spanning at that time 100 years of film, and its subject is the corporeal us, the human body. Its themes stretches conception, birth, childhood, youth, love, sex, violence, illness, aging and death. Therefore, if you don't relate to that, you don't relate to you. But Pummel is an experimental and uncompromising filmmaker who pulls no punches, so he obviously required a musician who could write and record a score appropriately. But how the fuck do you ask the rock star Jonny Greenwood? And how on earth did Pummel react when Greenwood agreed not only to do the score, but to come up with what he did? The music starts with quivering strings accompanied by what sound like parts of the body slurping, sucking and slapping, and develops into pondering piano and the eerie tones of the theremin. And the rest of the score is equally odd, covering tremolo guitar, crunchy guitar loops, wordless vocals, staccato strings accompanied by solo violin, sequenced electronic twinklings, slowed and sped reel-to-reel, layers of out-of-sync drums and percussion, dub reggae, harmonium both played and tapped on, freeform jazz, wine-glass synths rubbing against classical strings and solo cello, grungy guitar, a return to freeform jazz, this time slowed and sped on reel-to-reel, and then rounded off in full circle with quivering strings. Despite this vast variety of instruments and sound sources, each track is restricted to surprisingly few instruments or ranges of instruments. For example, disregarding the odd bodily effects at the beginning, the opening track is basically only a small string ensemble, piano chords, and the single notes of a theremin. Such simplicity means that the music is clear and cosily lo-fi, and variety is provided by all of the other tracks. Body Song is mostly atonal, shifts freely or merges one genre to the next or one musical period to the next, is thoroughly uncompromising and experimental in tone, is without songs or any conventional structure. Also, as we have seen, it covers a broader range of textures, instruments and sound sources than anyone would ever require, and is grippingly engaging from the first note till last. It is at times wild and seemingly out of control, at others relentlessly repetitive, and others still tranquil and exquisite. Body Song's superlative as an example of eclectic artistic freedom. It transcends genre, style, virtuosity, fashion, period, analog versus digital, acoustic versus electronic, art music versus non-art music. It was Greenwood's first big break to show us what he's worth without Radiohead, slingshotting him on a career scoring for the great Paul Thomas Anderson and, presumably, Greenwood's ultimate goal and deserved shot at longevity, composing music specifically for the classical concert hall. Therefore, although Simon Pummel must have thought Greenwood's acceptance to work on his film meant it was Christmas, Greenwood in turn must look back on this project and Simon Pummel with a deep sense of gratitude. I thank you for listening, welcome any comments, and Body Song, Could this be the most overlooked CD and film in recent decades?